Casual Magic has been brought to you by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can get cool stuff. Use the code CASUAL for 5% off your order. We're also sponsored by Quiver Time, makers of the Quiver and Bolt deck cases and other fine card-holding accessories. Use the code CASUAL on their site for 10% off your purchase. And by Architect, a deck hosting website that doesn't sell anything, but they like me and I like them, so kindly use them for all your deck list needs. Now, on to the show. Hello and welcome to Casual Magic, the show where we talk about the fun side of Magic the Gathering. My name is Shivam Bhatt, and Casual Magic is brought to you by Architect, Cool Stuff Inc., and Quiver. Today, we have tech support to the stars, the man who keeps the backbone of EDH going, runs like every Discord you're on, and basically is in charge of every web stream you've ever seen. My friend and yours, Logan Ish. How's it going, my dude? Thank you so much for joining me today.
Howdy. Yeah, we've talked about doing this for a while, and then
since I've had a show.
Yeah, that's kind of been. I mean, you've had so many fancy people on though, so that's always good. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, look, dude, I can have senators, but I can also have friends. That's why I have a self-indulgent show, because I like to be able to just talk to my buddies, man. That's why I do this, right?
Yeah.
So, for those of you at home, Logan is one of my dear good friends. He is like a sysadmin, like a hacker, a tech support guy. He built my computer. He's built Sheldon's computer. He's built everybody's computer. Yeah. He helps everybody's web services, like all of our Discords, all of our like freaking web streams, every content that anybody's ever done. I don't know. I think Olivia is the one who surfaced you to all of us, probably, because Olivia is just like magical like that.
That was sorry to interrupt. That was like 2019. I just showed up in her chat and they started playing Commander, and I was like, "Hey, I can help you do this better." And she was like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Oh, look at those stuff I could do."
I mean, to be fair though, that's basic. Like Olivia's secret talent is that she is one of the greatest evangelists in the world. When she finds she's first off the greatest talent sniffer you will ever find, and secondly, she's the most like important at spreading the knowledge of whoever is really good to know and getting it out to the public, to everybody that needs to know them. Like, you showed up in Olivia's chat, and I'm pretty sure that must be where I ran into you. Yes. And then on Twitter and whatever, because like I said, you built my computer. You've helped me get through so many random other just tech problems I have. Even just putting this podcast together, even doing all sorts of things with recording and audio and video. Like, I know after Olivia got you to me, and then I went and I spread the holy word of Logan to everybody else. And it's like Sheldon got in on that. Like the RC got in on that. Yeah. You run the RC's Discord. You run...
I run Prof's Discord.
Prof's Discord. Olivia's Discord. Tappy's Discord. You built my Discord. Which is literally the only reason I have a Discord, friends, is for my private chat, frankly, and it was for like my birthday party. Yeah. And I should open it up to people, but everybody's allowed to have a private chat. It's fine. But yeah, man, like the other magic related thing, though, aside from the fact that you are literally the backbone spine of the community, and I wanted to acknowledge and applaud what you've done for all of us especially through the pandemic, through the lockdown, where we are literally all living on the internet at the whims of fate. And you're like FedExing us our PCs across the country.
That was crazy times, like building people PCs when parts were starting to get scarce back then. Oh, yeah. And then on top of that, like I was working from home, and then I was sort of like on call nonstop for folks that were doing streams or wanting to start doing streams, because it was pre-spell table time, so it was like had to do it through Discord or GoToMeeting or Zoom or something, and helping folks try and figure out how to crop those down and fit them on a stream. That was especially
back when we were all trying to learn OBS and trying to figure out how the hell any of this stuff worked.
And then Discord would just like push a change that changed where all the windows were like one day, and I was like, oh my god, 3 people have a stream today. I need to fix. I had to like fix all 3 before they went live, or some of them like when they were live. Yeah.
Oh my god, dude! There's been so many times, and like so many random times where it's like, "Hey, I'm on a stream, but my face is inverted and upside down. What is going on? Why is my
Yeah.
sound going through my record player? Tell me."
There
I've
was some
definitely
crazy
pegged you at like the the butt end of time to be like, "Hey,
Yes.
my computer is not doing the thing I think it should be doing. Can you tell me why?"
There are crazy moments throughout all that too where, like, uh and of course Olivia's to blame for it, where I just get pulled into random, like, "Hey, can you help this person set this thing up?" Like, uh, one time we had Cassius Marsh on stream, and it was the first time he was on stream, and he didn't have anything set up, and uh, like I pop into the voice, and I'm chatting with him, and then uh, he just gives me his phone number and says, "Hey, can you just call me?" So I call him up, and I'm chatting with Cassius and helping him get his webcam set up so he can play with everybody on stream. Uh, yeah, that was just like, well, yeah, just, and this was when I was new guy to the community and didn't
Hey,
really
this
know
NFL
anybody
player would
big.
like you to help
It's like, yeah,
do.
I'll just casually call an NFL player, this tonight, or later on, and when they started doing hijinks, um, and Ailey and Olivia they had a special guest on, and Olivia says, "Hey, um, we need some help getting this going. Can you hop in here and help out?" And I'm like, okay. I pop in. Olivia just hits me up, is like, "Hey, Matthew needs help getting his camera set up and to play with us." And I'm like, all right. Like, I have no idea who they're talking
Sure,
about, but
whatever.
I pop in, and uh, you know, videos all come up, and it's Matthew Lillard, and I'm like, okay.
Mr. Beetle and Grims himself wants your
Right,
help.
they just casually pop in to find, a
And the
hackers,
hackers.
Shaggy, whoever you want to call him. It was cool. I helped him get it set up because he was using the same like Elgato camera app that I use on mine, so it's really easy to get it set up. There's just that times like that where I kind of like oops into cool stuff thanks to my cool friends, and I have
I feel like though that's
them
like
to
all of our story. Is
yeah.
like we all run in the same little crew of people, and all of us have this same kind of just like, oh, I am suddenly hanging out and talking with the person who is well outside my league
Yeah,
for reasons and I don't understand. But this is
right.
kind of rad, so I'm gonna go with it.
I think the biggest, like, or the biggest initial hit, like, of holy crap, is this actually happening, was, I mean, this was early on. It was 2019. I had just met Olivia through her stream and everything. Um, she went to Gen Con that year, and I live an hour from Indy, so I went and hung out with everybody. Um, and it just happened to be that's the year that all four of the rules committee members at the time were there, and they were all playing at like the Legion booth, and
Mhm.
Olivia introduces me to Sheldon and Scott and Gavin and Toby, and we're all just chatting and whatnot. But I got to talking with Sheldon, and within 30 minutes, he like hands me his business card and says, "We're gonna work together." I'm like, if you say so, you know?
I mean, you did build out his system and run his
Yeah,
shop, so, like, I think you might be one of the most trusted people who is not in the CAG or RC for the RC. Honestly, you might be
probably.
more trusted than a lot of us are by
I
the
get to see
RC.
a lot of things over the years, just behind the scenes, which is funny because, like, for, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, for the longest time, I wasn't on an NDA, and I finally am on an NDA now that all the things that I knew about are not, you know,
Relevant.
they're all out already. They're
Well,
all
that's the thing.
public.
It's like, I mean, these organizations are built on trust, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
NDAs and stuff are fine and good. But at the same time, it's like, if we're trusting you enough to bring you in to help run the literal back end, we're trusting you with a level of secrecy already.
Yes.
Like, you know where all the bodies are buried because you've got the RSS, like, you've got the codes to be able to get in.
Right.
Like, you built the locks and have all the keys. So,
Right. And I think we've regularly coined it friendier.
Yeah, I mean the friendier that's the game industry term for a lot of this when we're like
Right.
we're sitting over beers and we're talking about things that we really ought to not be sharing outside friendier, let's make sure.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, it's like I think it's a lot of this is like, look, we trust that you're not going to go into the room that you shouldn't be in unless you're specifically summoned to do so, and we
Yes.
trust that you're discreet about what you see because if you weren't, you would not be working with everybody,
Exactly.
right? Like
Yeah.
you have justified that kind of level of faith.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I'm sure the audience is super thrilled to be hearing the most inside baseball possible. The other reason I brought you on here is because you got some of the coolest decks I've ever seen that I really just love talking about. And
Yay.
you might be the king of all bolas.
Yeah.
Like, so I really wanted to bring you on because like that deck is Nutter Butters and I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like your deck, your Bolas deck and like Rebels Bolas deck are like just so delightfully devilish, Seymour, as they
Yes.
say. Um, but you've got like a collection of like every one of them or something,
Correct.
right?
So if you do a search on Scryfall and it's like you just
Oh yeah,
type
you work
nickel.
with Scryfall too.
Oh
Let's
yeah, I
not
work
forget
with
that.
Scryfall and like yeah, a
Like you
lot of
upload images for them and
yeah.
other.
We, as of today, while we're recording this, the aftermath previews, the official previews are out, and they put up the gallery, updated it. So at least one person was putting them all up on the website tonight. I was like, I kind of got a recording I gotta do, otherwise I'd help. But I have done quite a few of those, and on top of that, like one of the things I love doing is finding rare cards and getting scans and photos of them.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you've gotten like a bunch of the Heroes of the Realm
Yes.
pretend cards, which is like one of my biggest pet peeves. I wish you wouldn't. Because they're not real cards, and it really
Yeah.
irks me when people are like, "Oh yeah, I totally want to play as Modo." I'm like, "No, no, that is not a card. That is a certificate of appreciation. For if you want to get that card, go work for WotC and do something that they like.
Mhm.
Otherwise, no, you don't get to play that card unless your name is on it."
But yeah, like um between like my Bolus collection is like you go to Skyfall and you type Nicol Bolas, like unique prints, and then pretty much everything that shows up. There's 33 cards currently. I have every single one of those prints, from Legends to Chronicles 4 and Black Border to pre-release cards, including the Japanese War of the Spark alternate art pre-release card. That one's probably like the banger in my collection. Um, but yeah, like I literally have them all. I have all 33, and then some extras. Like sitting behind me on my shelf is an artist proof of the Japanese War of the Spark Bolus, um, that a couple of friends pitched together and got me as a gift.
What did you think of that one? Because I was kind of like, "That's a weird looking skinny bolus." I wasn't sure about that.
It's cool.
It's
Like
cool.
I like all of them. Even the one we don't talk about, the Deceiver. He's that the Planeswalker deck one where it's like
He just super
not
gimpy
good
looking.
at all, and he's kind of like doing this little flare in the air,
He's
like
just like, "Hey guys."
I'm
Yeah.
here.
It's really just that, or he just sat down on something that was very painful.
Right.
He's just like,
Yeah.
"Ow, arch my back." Like, I've definitely made that pose when I've sat down on Legos that my
Yeah.
son
You
you're just like,
compare that like
"Ah."
to that card to any of the others, and it just doesn't have the same kind of like flair of power.
Or
You look at
Veritas or like, it just
right.
it's got no, like, dignity. That card is silly.
I mean, you straight up compare it to like the original Planeswalker version, Nicol Bolas, Planeswalker, and it's just like slam down 8-drop +3 blow stuff up.
Yeah,
It's
I love that
great.
this thing's like -11. Nicol Bolas the Deceiver does 7 damage to each opponent.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Oh, you draw 7 cards. Yeah, but -11.
I mean, I guess the only saving grace to it is that it was thematic, as far as like the plus ability was a torment from Hour of Devastation.
Yeah.
Like So it was like on theme with all of those other cards that said Torment of Blah,
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know, man. Like I honestly, I think the only good bolus is the one from Legends, as far as I'm concerned. And even that card is just a really hateful card.
Oh yeah.
Just like nug you, discard your hand. Like, come
Yeah.
on. That's such a
You don't
jerk
need a
move.
hand. I need a hand. You don't need a hand.
Yeah, bro. Bolus doesn't need a hand. Now, which art of Bolus do you prefer? Do you like Bookman or do you like the yelling guy?
As far as
Or
like
the secret layer? The
like
secret
the
layer one's hot.
yeah, I've got the secret layer one up on my wall too. Because I got those Ultra Pro like display
Nice.
cases. So I put all 5 of those OG dragons up on my
Man,
wall.
I regret not getting that layer
Yeah.
so much. Like,
I
after I
bought
thought
2
about it
just
for a
so
while,
I
I'm
could
like,
have
"Why?
one.
These are my favorite cards. Why wouldn't I
Yeah.
do that?" So now I'm trying to piece it together, but
I really do like the From the Vault one, that new art. You cannot deny that the classic like book reading, you know, it's like Alice in Wonderland, the
yeah,
hookah smoking
he's such a
caterpillar.
dweeb. But, like, I remember when I saw the From the Vault Dragons one for the first time, I'm like, A, they brought Nicol Bolas back, and I was like, "Holy crap," and B, I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
they made him look insanely scary now."
Yes.
Like, he looks like a real dragon instead of just a grumpy old man.
Right.
Like, the
Yeah.
Legends one is definitely Nicol Bolas sitting in the pools of becoming and just being like, "Leave me alone, please." Like,
Right.
I'm in my hot tub. Let me
And
have a
then
minute.
like later on when they came out with Nicol Bolas the Ravager, that one was even cooler because it's like this is fresh out of the egg Bolas. He's angry, he's mean, he's wonderful.
Did you see the Judge version of that?
Oh yeah. I call that one Nicol Swolas. He's just buff. He is just buff.
It looks so cool. I wish to God that we had gotten an Ugin to match Nicol Bolas.
Yes,
That
me
would have
too.
been so sick.
Yeah.
I should tell Gavin. That would be cool. Um, yeah, but like, so tell me about that deck. What you got like this Mega Bolas deck, don't you?
Yeah, so it's like a lot of the decks that I build, they're more theme or flavor over function. They still function. That's the best part, is like they still do stuff and they work well. Um, there's a side tangent story about my black and white cat deck with Luris with that. Sheldon did an article on it. But
Oh,
um yeah, the Bolas deck is really just like trying to not only put in cards that are him and about him, but putting in stuff that functionally feels like something that he would do. So
mm.
like, putting in bribery and acquire, putting in
Or in Bolas's grasp.
yeah,
What the hell do they call it? In Bolas's clutches? I don't remember.
in Bolas's clutches, which I've
Yeah.
got a great altar that the guy that did your Shivam Reef, he did me,
Yes.
yeah, he did me an in Bolas's clutches, but instead of Bolas's face and hand, it's my face and hand.
Oh, that's horrifying. Dude, those Shivam reefs are so freaky. Like, I
They
should
are.
send it to EK to just throw up here. They're just horrifying looking of just like all of the rocks are my head.
They're great. I love it.
My wife hates them so much. Oh my
So
god.
yeah, I run things like Mastermind's Acquisition and Torment of Hailfire. Those are Bolas cards, but
Boo.
then I've got the invocation things like Damnation on Omniscience. I run
Yeah.
the invocation Scarab God and Locust God. But then
I
the
like that you
non
run things like Deliver Unto Evil,
yeah,
that random card from War of the Spark, which is like, if you control a Bolas Planeswalker, do something.
yeah, just get all 4 cards back,
Yeah. Do you
Um
have that stupid card that was in Aether Revolt? The
yes,
one that's like Bolus is coming type of thing?
Dark Intimations.
Yes.
Yeah, that is 100% in there because it actually with one of the new cards I put in Ichor Gauntlet because it's a very, it's not a Bolas card, but it's a Bolas type power move kind of thing. Like, I'll just get this trinket, this power glove to, you know,
The Power Glove.
yeah, it's just literally just a Nintendo power glove
I
for
mean, it's so
planeswalkers,
bad.
right? Uh, but so there's the combo in there for Nicol Bolas Dragon God with Jace Cunning Castaway. Um, because Dragon God can use any other abilities. So with Chain Veil or Ichor Gauntlet, you can, get there faster with infinite activations.
Oh, gross.
So if you have with Ichor Gauntlet, you can essentially take infinite.
So let me just read Ichor Gauntlet for the audience that's listening on the radio. It's a 2 and a blue artifact from 1 that basically says planeswalkers you control have 0 proliferate and -12. Take an extra turn after this one. And when you cast a non-creature spell, choose a counter on target permanent. Put an additional counter of that kind on that permanent.
Yep.
And then Jace Cunning Castaway is the 1 and 2 blue from Ixalan that says like +1 whenever one or more creatures you control does combat damage, you draw a card and discard. -2, you make a 2/2 blue illusion with whenever this thing is a target, pop it. And then -5, create 2 tokens that are copies of Jace Cunning Castaway, except they're not legendary.
The important part.
Right.
Because with Dark Intimations in your graveyard, you cast Nicol Bolas Dragon God, he'll immediately come in with an extra counter so that you can straight up -5 right off the bat. And then you've got 2 boluses. One you can proliferate, the other one you -5 and make 2 more boluses. So you can just chain it with Ichor Moon as long as you've got a starting count of 5. And then once you have so many proliferations, Jace is at a point where you can just -12 and take an extra turn.
That's too many boluses.
You use one of the unused boluses and do it. But so with or you if you cast Jace after the Ichor Moon Gauntlet, that's a non-creature spell, so you can just put a counter on bolus. There's so many ways you can do it with that. The original way was just like Chain Veil. Okay, I can activate twice. I'll plus bolus and then -5 plus bolus -5, and then you just make infinity boluses. It's super fun to do, and by the time you just lock it in, and people are like, "Oh, all right, you gotta you win." Like, cool.
It's such a demoralizing way to lose. It's like, God, there's 300 boluses, and that's so irritating.
Yeah,
it's so irritating. I hate Super Friends decks so much. God, like all of my decks fold to them so easily.
Yeah,
because like you can just get outvalued so quickly.
This one is so much bolus that is in flavor that it's just kind of like pure hubris too, because I don't have a lot to protect myself, and I purposefully took out a lot of the like single target removal. And there's only one counter spell. It's the Judge Promo Mana Drain, because that has bolus flavor text.
It does. I never thought about it. I've never seen the Judge Promo Mana Drain.
Right.
So I mean, look, dude, that makes sense, because like every card in here is somehow bolus related, except for I guess like a bunch of the planeswalkers, and that's because you actually just need to have cards that'll do stuff.
Yeah, there's some that are just like flavorful as far as like Savitri Dragon Master. She's sort of a don't attack me kind of thing. Some of them were like minions of bolus, conscripted willfully or otherwise, but
but otherwise it's like, look, they all have the same kind of I'm a jerk level of bolus does. Like, I'm taking all your stuff, and it's like bolus and his minions. It's so gross. It's so annoying.
This is mine. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to blow that up. That's the whole theme.
But don't you? And I know that you and EK like to talk about like all the artist proofs and things you've got of this stuff too. Isn't that like one of the ways you've been blinging this deck out?
I don't have as many artist proofs, other than like I've bought maybe a couple, and then but this deck is, if there's a promo of it or like an alternate art or some kind of like booster fun version, it's in there, and it's all foil.
Well, I mean, it's bolus. It's got to be blinged out, right? Like, the whole point is to be shiny for this thing.
Right.
I think I like doing that with some of my pet decks. Like, I've slowly been working on foiling out my, like, Grimgrin, for instance, because it's, like, there's a point where you get to some decks where you're like, this deck is done. It's, like, not done, but, it's going to take some kind of, like, seismic upheaval for you to shift cards around.
You maybe get, like, one new card a year or something like that for those decks.
Exactly. And so it's like at that point, like my Hapatra deck is like there's no more -1/-1 counter cards coming out. Maybe there'll be like one or two ever, but for the most part, it's enough that I feel safe that I can start just like really tweaking that deck out and just really tinkering it to getting it to gold border or like promos or like, alters or whatever the hell. I like to have decks that I can just sit there and be like, this is my showcase deck now. This is like, it's not going to change. It does the thing. It's going to live here forever.
Sometimes I feel like that. And like, think back to like when Ixalan came out and I was like, I'm making a dinosaur deck. And I made Gishath. And those were the only dinosaurs for the longest time. And it barely changed. And I just had this dinosaur deck. And so what I was doing over time was just slowly foiling out all of the dinosaurs that were in it. Because that was the only thing I could do to upgrade it.
Yeah, because like, how many dinosaurs are they realistically going to print?
And then all of a sudden they're like, here's Ixalan, and then here's all this other stuff. And then like even literally with March of the Machines, it's like, here's 4 new dinosaurs you can put in your deck.
Out of nowhere, I was just like, damn, there's been a lot of just new dinosaurs this year.
I got like the Kogla and Yadaro. I got the Galta and Mavrin. I got the new Atali that flips into a fake,
and like just random normal dinosaur monsters that are just now dinosaurs.
Yep.
It feels like they were like somebody was working on that set saying like, you know what, we haven't made nearly enough dinosaurs in the last 5 years. So all of these random just utility creatures are now all dinosaurs.
Yeah. So you'll have a deck like that where you don't touch it for ages, and then all of a sudden it's like, here's this explosion of cards to put in. And it's sometimes wonderful and it's sometimes terrifying because it's like you go to that thing that it's like your mainstay that's been, your pillar as all your other decks change around you. And all of a sudden it's a completely new deck.
It's so annoying sometimes. They're like, I was like that with my zombie deck, and then they put out friggin' Wilhelt. Yeah. And I was like, oh, look, here's a zombie deck where every card is just better than my zombie deck. And that's where I finally just took the stand. I'm like, nope, not going to do it. Not going to use any of this crap except for like Necro Duality, because that card's just cool. But otherwise I was like, no, dude, I'm not going to change my entire deck just to be this deck. Even if the cards in there were super sweet. But yeah, like sometimes you're just like, this deck has been in stasis forever. And then WotC's out of nowhere. It's like, it is now the main theme of this format. Here's all of the cards for it ever. I'm like, dude, like it happened with Sea Monsters when they put out AC. It happens to me with Elves when they put out the freaking Lathiel, and on and on and on and on. I'm like, I'm just not telling Gavin what I'm doing anymore. Because next thing I know, by the time I get around to building it, he puts out a precon, and I'm like, okay, fine, Jesus, dude.
I got that was what happened to me with. So like I had a Rakdos demon deck for the longest time, like OG Rakdos, and it was specifically demon cards. And then it was just like, this doesn't really feel the greatest to play. It's slow, it's clunky. And so I kept trying to change it up. So I'd like, oh, let's make it Rakdos the Showstopper when he came out. And it was like, okay, let's just board wipe the deck. It was like, oh, let's see how many times I can blink it. And then Carter Doomscourge comes out, and it's like, all right, let's see how many times I can blink him and not take damage. And it just kind of kept doing. I hate linear decks, so I kept doing the same thing and forcing me to go in the same direction. So I was like, all right, what if I made it, Grixis Demons with Xander, who I'm never gonna cast because he's so expensive,
and he's also just makes you a target.
Yeah, and it didn't really feel good. I started shifting it back to red-black, and by the time that I had finished doing that, the 40k spoilers came out. And they're like, Be'lakor, the Dark Master. And I'm like, this is the card I've been waiting my entire life for. And I immediately printed on, Hewlett-Packard Masters, all of the brand new demons. And I slapped them in sleeves, and I built it back into Grixis. I just added the blue back in, and I'm like, this is wonderful.
So let me read Be'lakor for the folks at home. Be'lakor, the Dark Master from Warhammer. It's 3 and a Grixis, so blue, black, and red, for a 6/5 flying. And it's got Prince of Chaos. When Be'lakor, the Dark Master, enters the battlefield, you draw X and lose X, where X is the number of demons you control. And then Lord of Torment, whenever another demon enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. So yeah, in a demon's deck, that is dumb.
He's
That is
super
stupid.
good. And like, do you know what happens when you kick a Rite of Replication on him?
Oh, what?
You deal
What?
150 damage across the table.
Oh, that's... Wait, so that's 6 times 5 is 30, and you draw 30 cards and then lose 30 life, where...
Yeah,
Well,
but
you
you
lose,
just
like...
stack it to deal the damage first, and you just, launch 50 at 3 people each.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh, because they all see each other.
They all see each other.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's 6 instances of 6
damage. 6 by 6 is 36.
5 times. Yeah.
That's...
So...
I love that for you and hate that for me.
But the great thing was I switched my deck over to Be'lakor so quickly that it became the pretty much number one viewed Moxfield deck for Be'lakor. So it's got 54 likes and 5,000 views, and it's cool because people keep looking at my deck for references to build theirs, and mine's not super optimized. It's
demon tribal,
flavorful, big stompy stuff.
Yeah, it's basically here's the coolest demons of the past 5 to 10 years. I think you should put Lord of the Pit in there just for the principle of the thing. Just because I know it's not the greatest demon of all time, but it's the greatest demon of all time.
The last time I played it, into a Redain, so it was making things cost more. I had used Dream Devourers, that demon that lets you foretell cards from your hand. Yeah. And they cost 2 less. I foretold an Elbrus the Binding Blade into it, and then cast it for retail value at 7, and equipped it, and slammed it straight into somebody, and got the flip for good old Ormondal.
I don't think I've ever seen Ormondal actually get cast.
Withengar, that's
Withengar Unbound. 13, flying, intimidate, trample.
He ended up getting 13 counters in that game.
He only gets 13 counters when a player loses the game and you've got this dude out.
Yeah.
But Withengar, it's one of those cards that I've always just wanted to play and be we're going to do it. But it costs 11, or it costs 7 or something stupid. And it's 7. Just this card's never going to actually hit the table and never going to...
It's only 1 to equip.
Yeah, okay, great. Cute. I mean, but if you've got it to work, then that's an achievement right there, right?
It's just big, stupid fun. It's the best. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love that. You know what else though? One of the decks that you and I share that I really, really love is our Mardu Treasures deck. Oh, is that your Grimgrin deck?
This is the this is the Wilhelt zombie. So we got 2 decks.
Yeah, we do. Actually, because your zombie deck and my zombie deck are very, very,
very close.
Very close to each other.
Yeah.
And I do love, my zombie deck and your zombie deck are great. I love them. You hooked me up with a freaking foil Grimgrin finally, and it's one of the greatest.
Yeah.
You know what? The one regret I have is that I got that card, and then 2 days later they announced the new fancy Grimgrin.
Correct.
How
Same deal for me. Because I had ordered it, and I was like, you know what? I'll get my buddy one too. And then all of a sudden, it's by the way, here's this fancy ass version. I'm like, well, fine. So I ended up getting that one too in the Halo foil. I think.
Yeah, I want to get one of the etched foil versions, but whatever, dude. I like the original Grimgrin the way it looks just fine.
Yeah, I got that.
But you built your Wilhelt deck.
Foily version there.
Wilhelt is such a good card.
Yeah.
I hate that card, but it's such a good card.
Just like Be'lakor, he was the zombie commander I was looking for the longest time.
Honestly, if I wasn't so emotionally attached to Grimgrin, I would have swapped it out for Wilhelt as well. Because for those of you who don't follow every precon, Wilhelt's a 2 blue-black 3/3 zombie warrior. Whenever another zombie you control dies, if it didn't have Decayed, you get a 2/2 zombie with Decayed. And at the beginning of your end step, you can sack a zombie. If you do, draw a card. Card is a house.
Yes.
It is dumb.
It's in the top 10 on EDH Rec right now.
Dude, it's one of the strongest zombies ever made. It's stupid.
And for the longest time, so my zombie deck probably dates back to, I'd say 2014, 2015. It's probably my 3rd oldest deck, but it's gone through so many revisions since then. It used to be mono black. It was Corlash, the the
Yes.
zombie that's power toughness is equal to swamps.
Corlash, the heir to Blackblade, right?
Yeah.
He's just like he's also got grandeur, which has come up
Yes.
never.
Never. So, like, it was Corlash, and then I think uh, that's when Origins came out, and I had the Flip Lily from Origins as the
Mm,
commander for a little bit. I think I dabbled in using like uh, Kalatas, Trader of Get,
yeah,
the
I have
four
that in
drop.
my deck.
Yeah,
It's like one of the few non-zombies in there because I'm like, look, it's thematic. It makes
makes
zombies.
zombies and just lets you sack zombies, and he's pretty cool. I love him, his little head crab too on his head. But that deck just was like, all right, this feels all right, but it could be better. And then uh Hour of Devastation came out. And then
Hour
we
of
had
Devastation was like such a
oh,
huge secret zombie set.
yes.
So many
And
cool cards came out of that set.
there were so many like white black zombies, and I was like,
Mm,
oh, what if I made it, what if I brought it out to white black or something? But then Scarab God shows up, and I am obsessed with this card. It
its
is
card is busto.
it is. And
Scarab God is such a good zombie card.
for
It
a
is so
while
powerful.
he
It's
was
so
the commander
terrifying.
of two of my decks. Like, it was my zombie commander, and I had a blue black, like this was the precursor to Bolus deck. It was a blue black theft deck.
Mm.
It was like Dragon Lord Silumgar initially, and then Scarab God came out. And it was like, all right, we're doing Scarab God. We're stealing stuff out of people's graveyards, and decks and hands and.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah,
Okay, hang on a second. I'm looking at your list here, and you've got Poxwalkers, which is that
yeah,
zombie from the Warhammer deck.
yep.
And it's got this thing that says whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, return Poxwalkers from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Is
Mhm.
that because you catch your commander from the command zone? Or do you
Or
have like other
any zombie
flashbacky
that
things in
you
here?
cast from your graveyard.
What gets cast
So
from your graveyard?
Gravecrawler.
Oh, of course.
And there's
Shh.
the Liliana, who's like -3. You can cast zombies from your graveyard for the
Right,
turn.
right, right.
hmm
Jeez.
Uh,
Okay, that's stupid.
Ebon Death also you can cast from your graveyard.
Right, right, of course.
Yep.
Because I was
But
just
yeah.
sitting there, I'm like, what do you do? What does this card do? But I'm like, that's because whenever I've got Crawler in play, it's just comboing. It's
Yes.
like just getting eaten by Grimgrin, and then I'm swinging at you with a 35 Grimgrin.
Right. That's the nice thing with Wilhelt is Gravecaller and Wilhelt is just like every other turn you
Oh
make a
my
decay
god.
zombie.
That didn't even occur to me that
Yeah.
you're just going to feed that stupid thing and
Sack
just
it on
get
end
infinite
step, draw a
decayed
card, make a
zombies.
decayed zombie. Both of them can't block, so it's just replacing itself at that point. And then the next turn you just recast it and sack it at the end of turn.
That's stupid.
Um,
That is stupid.
so yeah, also Poxwalkers, since it says cast anywhere from but hand, it counts when you cast your commander too, because you're casting
Yeah,
it
that's what I
between
was thinking. I'm like, you cast your commander, you get Poxwalker
Mhm.
back from the graveyard. Like, I'll be honest, I haven't gotten a chance to really delve into the Warhammer decks as much because, like, at least
There's
outside
so
of
much
playing
good
them
stuff.
as like hermetically sealed Warhammer pod against each other, like, I
Yeah.
haven't looked at those cards in like, how would this work in Greater Commander? Because they're just, I don't want to break those decks apart. I
Yeah.
got the one card, Red Terror for the All Will Be One combo
Oh yeah,
because
yeah.
that's just stupid. I might actually cut that just because it's too easy.
Oh
Uh,
man, the the egregious one for me is Old One Eye. That's
that card is nuts.
yeah. It's
Card is
like a
nuts.
6/6 for 6 that gives all your creatures trample, has trample, and makes a 5/5 when you cast it. Like, really, really, really overpowered, dumb. Oh, and on the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you can discard 2 cards to bring it back to your hand from graveyard. So
That's so dumb. That card is just so
like, they spend a card to kill it, and then you just bring it back.
dude, that Tyranid deck is so strong. It is just so ridiculously powerful.
I bought like
Um,
3 copies of that Shadow in the Warp that makes your creatures cost 2 less, and then like
Jeez,
dings opponents. Yeah,
I don't know, man.
great.
Like I have 2 sets of those decks, and one I haven't even broken up, and the other one I've just like opened and sleeved and left. So I've like now I have to go and just actually go and look and find singles or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want to because they're just so broken. They're so nutty.
Yep.
These cards are dumb. I love the Warhammer decks, but they're stupid.
Yes.
They're undeniably stupid. But yeah, let's talk about treasures for a second though.
Yes.
Because like your zombie deck is cool, and I could sit here and go like pick by pick for every card. Actually, let's see. Is there anything in that zombies deck that I'm like surprised to see? No, because like your zombie deck is slightly different than mine. It's more leaning towards pulling things out of the graveyard. Mine doesn't necessarily. Mine's a weird black zombies deck that doesn't necessarily care about the graveyard. It's more for like the combo or for the just overwhelming the table. But you've got a lot of like bounce nonsense back and forth, which is I like a lot.
One of the big things I did recently when I did the Will Help rebuild, back because I did like briefly make it Grixis zombies with Thraximunder just to see if I liked it like that, and then Will Help was spoiled, and it's like, all right, back to
I guess we're not doing that anymore.
But when I did that, I pushed the feel of the deck more towards lords, so it has nearly every single zombie lord in that's
that's what that's kind of where I ended up. I remember I showed it to Gavin once, and I was like super proud of it, and he's like, "Oh, I see, you just got every zombie lord in the game and shoved them in here." I'm like, yes.
Because you make all these decayed zombies and now they're like 10/10s.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, yeah, they died this turn, but I'll get 6 more when they do.
Yeah.
So okay. Yeah, I love zombies. I love the zombie style of play. Like, it's weird because I don't like black and I don't like blue very much, but zombies is just like, it's good, clean magic. You know what's coming. It's coming slowly. It's going to show you 10 miles away. It's going to telegraph what it's doing.
Yep.
Like, you can't say you were ever surprised by a zombies deck.
No, never. Like, it's, you see the commander and you're like, oh, it says zombie in the text box. Wonder what it's gonna do.
It's like, and then like 15 turns later, you're like, "Welp, there's 75 zombies coming at me." It's like,
guess I should have done something about those zombies.
Turns out, like they do what they say on the tin. They walk very slowly, and they get here eventually. Like, I remember when I showed my deck to someone for the first time, and they were like, "Why do you have Amulet of Vigor in here?" And I'm like, "Bro, all my zombies come into play tapped. Why wouldn't I have Amulet of Vigor in there?"
That was one of the reasons. So like I had Scarab God and it was so powerful and it was fun, but it led me to a line of play where I would just make a wall of zombies and never attack because I didn't need to. Like I had this, wall that was impenetrable. Nobody could get through to me on my upkeeps, plural, because I would run Paradox Haze on myself. I would scry 20 and everybody would lose 20 and then I'd do it again.
That's so boring. I mean, yeah, you can do that, but there's no fun in that.
It was great because it was like, all right, pestilent zombies, they're just rotting and people are dying around me, but it just led to that same old like, all right, this is too same between games, and I don't like that.
Yeah, like my Grim deck, there are times when I don't even put the commander out. I'm just like, I've just got too many other zombies and things in play to drop a 6-drop and it's like whatever. Right. And then there's times where it's like the whole game is just Grim comes into play and just punches you out one by one. Yep. And I like that because even though it's all zombies and they all effectively do the same thing, the deck still feels different just depending on the mix that you pull out.
Right.
Because it's like, which version of zombies am I going to bring to the table? I don't know. It's just the deck is good, clean fun.
Yeah, because there's like army level zombies, there's mill zombies, there's shenanigans with like that Esper one Varina where you're just like milling and drawing cards and then making a bunch of zombies.
Yeah, I thought about making the Varina Grixis deck, but I was like, not Grixis, Esper deck. Yep. But then I was like, I don't want to break apart my zombie deck. I mean, I might do that. I might do it anyway since I've got this other Wilhelt precon that I can just slap Varina into and then add all the Amonkhet zombies. But like, I like having a zombie deck that's just like, I know what it does. It's here, it does a thing, and it goes home.
It fulfills that need in my life.
Yeah, it's like the zombie shaped hole has been filled.
Yeah.
But here's a question, because like I ran Acererak in my deck for a while because there's the Acererak combo. Because Acererak, the demon wizard, it's a zombie wizard, 5/5 for 3. And when it enters the battlefield, you basically get to go venture into the dungeon. And if you finish the Tome of Annihilation dungeon, then like basically, once you complete the Tomb of Annihilation, if you haven't done the Tomb of Annihilation, a Seraphsix bounces back to your hand,
Yeah.
and when it attacks, you make a 2/2 zombie. But the point is more that you just want to go through the other dungeon and bounce this guy a million times with like Rooftop Storm,
Yep.
and just win by like plinking them one by one by going through that one dungeon infinite times. I did it like once, and I was just like, "This is cute," but it's like, I was
He's
like, I got bored of that.
he's still there for mine. I never so like rule of thumb for me is I never go for combos unless it's like super late game
Sure,
and the game needs to
same.
end. But uh there have been turns where I played a Seraphsix 3 times in the same turn, just bouncing it back to hand to venture into a dungeon because I didn't really have a whole lot of other things I wanted to do, or I was just like, let's just keep doing this. See where I go. And I just kept going in Dungeon of the Mad Mage. I love that one. And just, scrying and drawing cards and making treasures. And then, you get to the end and you do that big payoff of like draw 3 cards,
10,
cast
yeah,
one
exactly.
for free. First time I ever completed that dungeon it was a modified Sephrus, the Esper dungeon lady. I flipped over Omniscience.
Yeah.
Oh,
jeez. Like, okay, fine.
like,
I see what you did there.
Cast everything.
Yeah, for me, it's like with the Seraphsix, you just go through the Lost Mine of Phandelver because it's got that middle spot, which is each opponent loses one and you gain one.
Yeah.
And you just go through it a million times. And it's like, it just became kind of weird bookkeeping. And I was like, okay, I did it once. I've done this. I'm good.
Easily one of the more cuttable cards.
Yeah, it's like, it's cool though, because like it's such an iconic card for me. Like, just as a Tomb of Horror fan, but it's like, it's fine. But let's talk about Jan Janssen, Chaos Crafter.
Yeah.
Who is like, I remember, so I built my Mardu Treasures deck first with God, who the heck is that?
It was
the
Akiri
core
and Nadir.
Yeah, I had Nadir and I had the red white core.
Yeah, that's Akiri.
The whatever Lineslinger, Akiri Lineslinger. And then Nadir. And then I was like, okay, well, this deck is cool. It's clunky, it's slow, but it makes a ton of treasures and wins. And then Corey from like WotC comes up to me. He's like, hey, I made a card for your treasures deck. You should check it out. I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, when you see Baldur's Gate, you'll know what I'm talking about. And I looked at it and I see that there's a Mardu card who cares about sacking artifacts to make treasures and then sacking treasures to make artifacts. And I was like, oh, I see you made a specific exact card for the specific exact hole in my life. Okay, well, I guess that's what we're doing now.
You made that deck, and I saw you play it a single time, and then I was like, I need to make this deck. It just looks so fun.
So it's like, so fun.
It's Rube Goldberg the deck.
It is. Look, there's like times when you put it out and you get like a million treasures and you just win, right? Like it's dumb. But then there's also times where you're like, look, I'm getting like 1 or 3 treasures a turn, but I have to really be careful of how I, parse them out and how I break them in order to, like, because I want to try to win either by aristocrating my treasures away and then doing damage to you with like the Marionette Master, or I want to turbo out Battle Ball or something. And it's a matter of like, there are times though when it's like, okay, well, I got 15 treasures off a dockside and I guess I'm just going to put out a Copper Dragon now. And it's just like, okay, well, that was your face.
One of the things that I kept going to, and I ended up cutting it just so I won with it like three different times, and it was just straight up like Debt to the Deathless for a bajillion, and I'm like, all right, I keep doing this, maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah, like there's some cards in it, just like it's cheating. But then the other thing is, I wanted to use this as an ability to use all these stupid Mardu cards that I've just been building up for 1,000 years,
right?
And have no home for, like Piru the Volatile.
Yeah.
I was like, look, it's a Mardu Elder Dragon, and it blows up and does 7 damage to everything. Okay, I don't have any other home for it. It's gonna live here now.
Yeah,
man. It's like, didn't you told me about this combo that I used and that like just blew my mind?
Yeah, the Rose Room Treasure.
Yes. So tell the people how this works.
So yeah, Jan Jansen, obviously, you described it. You sacrifice an artifact creature, you make 2 treasure. or you sacrifice a non-creature artifact, you make 2 colorless construct creature tokens, artifact creature tokens. Rose Room Treasure has this cool ability. It came from the new Capenna commander. It says, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, make a treasure token if it's the first or second time it's resolved this turn. Otherwise, you can pay X and ding something for that much. Any target, which is pretty cool. So it's pretty easy. I got a treasure there. I would like to have 2 constructs. I'm going to sacrifice it with Jan. I no longer have a treasure. I have 2 constructs. They both enter. Each one triggers Rose Room Treasure the first and second time. What happens when you trigger it the first and second time? You make a treasure token once, twice, say it again. So, and then you couple that with like having Drum Bellower or White Plume Adventure, so you're untapping on your opponent's turns. And then you're just like, I'm going to keep making 2 constructs for 1 treasure that makes 2 treasures. You always net 2 constructs and a treasure. It's like, okay.
And if you have friggin' like Reckless Fireweaver in play, you're just binging people for like 4 every time.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
You add in like, so you got like Reckless Fireweaver, you got Nadir's Nightblade, you got Agent of the Iron Throne, which is, I love Agent of the Iron Throne because it's whenever an artifact or creature you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. So you just like chunk them for the treasure, chunk them for the construct. Doesn't matter.
It's just like, whatever, I'll get you coming and going, man.
Yeah.
Like, I love this deck so much just because it is exactly what you said. It's a Rube Goldberg Tinker Toy. It's just like, look, I've got 40 different ways to aristocrat you out of the game, and it's just going to be all sorts of weird, like, zone-changing nonsense.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun.
And I ended up shifting mine to it's treasures, but it's also just generic tokens and like artifacts. So, I've got stuff in there like Elspeth Knight Errant just to make a dude. I've got things like Assemble the Legion to just keep mustering my army every upkeep.
I mean, I'm never going to say no to Assemble the Legion.
Yeah, I ended up tossing in Divine Visitation so that now all of my creature tokens are angel creature tokens.
You know what you should put in? What is that stupid red-white card from Eldraine that's like you get Robin Hood's Merry Men?
I used to have that one in there.
Yeah, I had it in mine too, and then I replaced it once like some better treasure. Yeah. Like I think I replaced it with Rose Room Treasure actually. But it was just cool because it's just like, look, I can
Outlaws
just roll
Merriment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Outlaws Merriment. I was just like, I love this card. It's fun. It turned out it's more fun to play digitally than physically.
Yes.
Because
trying to roll for a randomized 3, like 1, 2, or 3 is a little more tricky.
That's like such an awkward number.
Yeah. I used to have that and some of the other like make 1 thing per turn stuff in there, like Court of Grace to make a spirit or an angel. I ended up cutting a lot of those just for the more like I had some in there, but then some are just more synergistic. So like with All Will Be One, Skrelv's Hive makes a artifact might.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like you lose a life.
Oh.
Make 1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature token with Toxic 1.
Jeez, I didn't even think about that because I have not updated this deck in like a year. So like, I generally update my decks in batches. Like I like to look at them because otherwise it's just too overwhelming every year. And I'm like, I want to actually play the cards now. So I haven't looked at it since like Baldur's Gate came out. But damn, Skrelv's Hive and like all these random new white artifacts that came out seems. Oh, you have Halo Fountain in there. That's Halo so clever.
Fountain. Another big one from the 40k decks, Biotransference.
What is that?
It's a 4-mana black enchantment. It says creatures you control are artifacts in addition to their other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, lose 1 life and make a 2/2 black Necron Warrior artifact creature token.
What the hell? What the hell?
That's only like $6, $7.
That is stupid. Wow, I need to get one of these. Jesus Christ.
So, like, literally every creature you cast is an artifact and makes a thing. Every artifact you cast makes a thing. And now you've got a token artifact that you can sacrifice as well to make treasures.
Well, yes, I would like to play Goldspan Dragon as an artifact.
Yeah, there's just so many little synergistic bits. Because now, and especially with biotransference, making everything an artifact everywhere, every creature that is, you can use stuff like, I think I took it out, but you can use Trading Post to get your artifact creature back from the graveyard if you want.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
That's cute.
I do the same thing with the encroaching mycosynth in my Katori deck. Because my Katori deck isn't vehicles, it's just artifact nonsense. You know, I turn Cresting Sunmare into an artifact and go to combat, give it lifelink and vigilance, and smack somebody for 5, gain 5 life, go to my end step, make an indestructible 5/5 horse. That's now an artifact too.
What?
Katori is really cool because it gives artifact creatures on combat lifelink and vigilance.
Wait, so how do you turn it into an artifact creature though?
Encroaching mycosynth does the same thing where it's like,
right, it just turns
all your non-land permanents except for like in any zone are
right. Or you could use like liquid metal coating or something and just like
liquid metal coating, liquid metal torque.
Oh my god, that is I haven't seen this deck. That's stupid.
Katori is easily my favorite deck to play over the last year since I built it.
Jeez.
It has shifted more and more away from, it used to have like 22, 25 vehicles, and now it's got maybe like 6 or 7 because I just keep putting in more shenanigans to turn things into artifacts and then like hit people with them.
Okay, hang on a second, Logan. Before we head out and tag out, I need to talk about your clones deck.
Oh yeah.
I was like sitting there, I'm like, there's a deck of yours that I just really, really hate that's also really, really good. And I need to remember that. And your clones deck, man, this deck is like clone tribal. It's turbo clones. It's every copied effect there is in the world. And it is so annoying.
I played it at Command Fest Indy 3 weeks ago. And I had, at the same time, 14 copies of Consecrated Sphinx.
Jesus Christ.
Man. And 6 copies of Coma. every upkeep I was getting 6 serpents.
You can go to hell with this. You know what? Your deck is the number one reason why I really just rail against this stupid Watsy habit of, oh yeah, you can make a copy, but it's not a legendary.
Yeah.
Because that's BS. That is such a cop-out. It's like, okay, you can copy whatever you want, it's fine. And I'm like, no, we don't need people to have 6 comas in play.
Yeah.
Or 6 Muldrothas. Come on.
Coma is in the deck because I didn't want to make a blue-green Coma clones deck, because that's what I wanted to do. And I knew that would be egregious. And I was I will settle for this. Like, I will settle for turning, copying your commander and then like putting my Brokos hat on top of it, so it's my commander now, and then hitting you with it. My favorite thing to do in that deck is Mirage Mirror, and I make it a copy of a creature, and then I mutate Brokos onto it.
That is so stupid.
End of turn, it goes back to being either, depending on like top or bottom, like it's a Brokos with Mirage Mirror's ability, or it's a Mirage Mirror with Trample. That's also my commander. Yeah.
Mirage Mirror is like your pet card, isn't it? Like,
oh, yes.
You definitely have gotten me to play this in a lot more decks than I would have otherwise.
It's so good. I have it in so many decks, and it's everything. It does everything you want.
Yeah, because it's a 3-mana artifact that says 2. Mirage Mirror becomes a copy of target artifact, creature, enchantment, or land until end of turn. It is like the all-purpose clone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have like literally every type of clone effect in this deck, don't you?
I just put in that new C double.
Oh god. Yeah, of course you did.
At worst case, it's an instant speed clone.
Yeah.
And at best case, I get to copy your really nice spell too. Like,
and get a clone.
Like, I'll take a clone of this but also you just cast that like Gen Wave for 10 and I would like one too.
Yeah, so that you can Genesis Wave into your evil twin.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude. This deck is so irritating because it's literally like it's only as strong as my deck is.
Yeah.
But it's offensive to me that you go and take my best creature and then make 40 copies of it and punch me in the face.
That's why I ended up putting in like Coma and some things that can finish because it needs to be able to finish on its own. But cloning things out of graveyards even, or just having a really, really big dude with like gigantoplasm.
Gigantoplasm is such a great card.
Yeah.
Man, this deck is such a house. It's so much fun. Oh man, geez, an hour went by and it didn't even feel like it. Like I could sit and talk about your decks all day long because like this episode, my friends, is definitely one of those. Shivam is going to talk to his buddy about things for an hour. So sorry, but really not sorry because you know what? Like this is the fun. Like this is the fun side of Magic.
Yes,
there's nothing more fun than talking about annoying decks with your buds.
Everybody talks to me about the tech stuff and the moderation stuff and the community admin stuff, and I never get to like just go on and on and on and on and on.
Exactly. It's like, dude, you know what? So, we're also just Magic players. Like,
yeah.
It's like whenever I've had Scott Larrabee on my show a few times, and he's like, dude, I want to come back and I just want to talk about cards. I don't want to talk about like rules or making Commander or whatever. I'm like, I want to talk about fun cards. I'm like, I mean, I got a place for it. Let's go. But yeah, man, thank you so much for joining me today. And it's like it's late for you, late for me, so we should probably tag out before we go to mini. But yeah, this has been great, and I can't wait to see you in a few days so we can just start punching each other again.
Here's a funny story. So, and it kind of this goes full circle back to where we started about me not knowing anybody and just kind of like meeting all of you. And so back in like late 2019, I had never met you in person. It wasn't until we met in Reno. And going into Reno, Reno was the first time that we met. Like literally the week before pandemic hit and everything locked down.
I can't believe that because it feels like we've known each other. I mean, I guess that was like 4 years ago now.
Correct. So I don't know. Like I was like, man, I don't know if Shivam actually likes me or anything. Like I'm not sure if this dude is cool with me or anything. And then like show up, go to the event and meet you for the first time. And I walk up and I'm like, hey, Shivam. And you're like, hi. And I'm like, I'm SeraphSix. And you're like, oh, man. And you just give me this big old hug. And I'm like, I think he likes me.
Yeah, don't introduce me with your name. I don't know your name. I mean, I do now. But I'm like you gotta tell me who you are in a way that actually means something.
I was always like on the fence of like, man, does this dude actually like me, or am I just annoying to him? And then you just like give me this big hug, and then the next day you're like hitting me up for like deck edit, quite like.
Man, if you've ever hung out with me at a con and I haven't asked you to edit one of my decks, we are not friends.
So it was great. I was like, oh man, now I was like, that was the final little bit that I needed to know, and this is great.
Yeah, we've been very good friends ever since, I'd like to believe. Yeah. Like we talk like humans regularly about things that are not Magic. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like that it's like almost like the Bechdel test for like, are you a friend outside of just being a community member? Have you had a conversation with this person about something other than the thing that you two are into?
How to tell if it's parasocial or not.
Right, exactly. Like if we talk about things that are human talk conversations, then we are more than just Magic buddies. And like I consider you one of my dear friends in the community and a person who advice and assistance I value greatly. And I'm sorry it's taking you so long to get you on my show. But like, yeah, man, you're one of my favorite people and I love talking to you all the time. And if folks wanted to find you or hire your services, which they really should, because let's be real, you built my computer and it rocks. Where could they go?
So I've pretty much got like a catch-all links page, links.sector6.net.
What's your Twitter?
at Seraph_6.
Yeah. You should go to SeraphSix. Everybody in the community that you care about knows who Logan is. Logan's part of everybody's circle. You will be able to find him very easily if you don't know him already. And if you don't, you should follow him because he's awesome and he's amazing and one of the best, like most just stalwart companions you can have. Anyways, as always, you can find me at Gear Report Gears. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasters old, or at YouTube on or at Cool Stuff Inc. on Tuesdays, or at YouTube also on Tuesdays, thanks to my editor EK, who is also one of our good friends. And remember, my friends, it is not magic without the gathering, and we will see you next time.